Today we're going to dive into a difficult subject for some people. So what we're going to talk about is why are you not seeing the results that you want to see in your health. I'm Dr. Jeff Cumro, and over the past 15 years, I've been blessed to help thousands of people optimize their brain function, their body function, and ultimately the energy to supply those areas with the things that they need to get the outcome that you want, no matter what environment you're in. If you're in a learning environment, learning better. If you're in a work environment, working better. If you're trying to go to sleep easier, actually getting to sleep and getting the quality that you need. So I've had a lot of people ask me here lately, like, why am I not seeing the results that I want to see? Like, I'm doing the things that I should be doing and it's frustrating. And ultimately we're going to dive into that reason today. So, when we look at, so I'm going to get my pen brought up here so we can do some drawing, because I think we will do some drawing at some point. But when we look at goals, so everybody stereotypically wants the same things, right? Everybody wants health, wealth, relationships, or happiness. Things like that are just things that everybody wants. It's hard to find somebody that doesn't want that. If you look at any kind of marketing book, those are the things that they say, these are the points that you need to hit, because everybody wants them, right? So if you have somebody and you ask them if they want $1 million, they're probably going to say yes. If you ask them if they want good health, they're probably going to say yes. If you ask them if they want good relationships with their friends, their family, all of that, they're probably going to say yes. There are very, very few people that don't want that, and those that say they don't probably still want it, right? Even though they're saying that they don't, they probably still do want those things. So we all want the same things, but we don't all get the same outcomes. Why is that? And the big reason for that is because those that get the outcomes are doing things differently. And it may look on the surface like you're doing them exactly the same as them. You're probably not, right? And there are small things. We all have genetic variances that lead to little different things. So if we're talking about health, one person's diet is going to be better for them. Another person's diet may be better for them. It just depends on the type of person on some of that stuff. But what this all comes down to is stacking enough of the things. So let's go over to the board here, and we're going to talk about, so look at let's say diet, movement, sleep, and let's just go stress management, just for a few here. So if we're looking at getting into better physical shape, if you're talking about losing weight or whatever that may be, we need to have all of these together, right? We can't just have one, we just can't have the other. Now, for talking about chronic disease, again, we've got to have all of these things together for people to actually heal, right? And some people already have some of this down. And I'll give you an example of this. When I had autoimmunity, this was coming out of college, I had autoimmunity, and I exercised all the time. I was in great physical shape. I got plenty of sleep, something I prioritized. It actually is what led to me getting sick, is because I didn't take care of my sleep. My diet was mostly good. I would go out and have some drinks on the weekend, different things like that, and that also contributed to my problem. So, when I started to make changes, and it was easier for me, because I already had the diet side of things down. I already had the sleep side of things down. All I had to do was get that diet side where I was eating the things that actually helped me heal, and I was taking out, drinking. The drinking and gluten was a big one for me. Dairy was a big one for me. So as I got all of that stuff to calm down, it calmed down my gut, and I was able to heal. It didn't take me so much. But there are people out there that don't have the base, right? So they've got to work on building better energy. They've got to work on improving their movement or exercise, however you want to say it. They've got to work on improving their diet. They've got to work on getting their sleep back. They've got to work on that stress management. And when they don't have all of these things together, then it's tough, right? But we all have to have these things. But this is not what holds most people back. What holds most people back, most people are willing to make the change. How many times have you went on a diet? How many times have you started exercising? How many times have you committed to sleeping better or doing something about your stress? Most people take these actions. But what holds most people back is the fact that they have other people around them that why are you wasting time on that diet? You've done this 100 times. Like, you're not going to succeed with it. Why waste time with it? right? Hey, just have a drink with me. I haven't seen you in forever. Just have a drink with me. Hey, that birthday cake over there? One piece of birthday cake's not going to kill you, is it? Like, just have a piece of birthday cake. You've got people around you that are dragging you down on this. They're bringing you back to the average, right? So when you change that diet, when you actually decide up here, when you say, all right, I'm just going to eat more of the Mediterranean diet. I'm going to have healthier meats. I'm going to have fruits. I'm going to have vegetables. And then you get around other people and they pressure you into going back to average. So if this is the average and you make dietary changes that are going to make you above average, you're going to be up here. You run into those people that are going to drag you down, they're going to drag you right back down to average. And it's hard to make progress at that rate, right? Because as soon as you go back to average, you're going to get average results. You're going to get the same results as everybody else. Same thing happens with exercise. Man, listen to your body. One day of skipping exercise isn't going to be that big a deal. Hey, why do you keep doing that? You're not really losing that much weight. Like, why do you keep putting in the effort? It's not really working for you. What would you do? Like, we could go and do something else with that time. Like, why would you get up early, or why would you go to the gym for an hour in the evening when you could spend time with me? It's a lot of guilt in some of these things. Other people will use it, and they'll basically manipulate you, for lack of better terms, because they use guilt to get you to come back to the average. And it's not that they want you to fail. In fact, a lot of times it's they don't want you to fail, right? When you look at business, a lot of people are like, why would you run your own business? That's risky. Everything in life is risky, right? There's risks to everything we do, but we have to measure those risks and we have to apply it to certain ways. If we do something different than the average person, we're probably going to get different results, right? And that's where most people fail, is it's not so much that they don't want these things. Everybody wants those things. It's not so much that they haven't tried those things, because most of us have tried those things. It's that other people talk us out of doing the things that we're willing to do to make that change. And that's where we have to make that change, is we have to say, all right, enough is enough. I don't care what anybody else says. I'm committing to doing this. I'm going to eat this way, and that's who I am. I no longer will switch that. I'm going to start exercising, and nobody's going to talk me out of it. This is my time. This is what I want, and that's going to help me spend better time with them when I am around them. I'm going to actually make time for my sleep, because when I make time for my sleep, I'm rested and I'm better at work. I'm better around my family. I'm better around all these other things. That's what I want. Stress. That's the most difficult one. Most people don't know what to do with their stress, because the only advice out there is, hey, decrease your stress. That's awesome. How do you actually do it, right? You build up your energy through diet and movement. Sleep is an important part of that. But you also have to do other things to minimize your stress. You have to work on, hey, you know what? I'm starting to get stressed out. I need to do a little bit of relaxation work. I need to do a little bit of breathing work. Maybe I should get up and just take a 5-minute walk just to get away from this, just to reset my physiology. We have to have some of those mental cues to actually make a change in the stress side of things as well. But as we get all of these things up here working well, that stress side of things starts to move itself forward too. So I guess the moral of the story is, if you want different results, you can't do the same thing as everybody else. And most people want the same thing. Most people don't have that because they're not willing to do those extra things. So sit down and decide, what do you really want? Do you want to be, just like the friends that you're around? Do you want to be just like the family that you're around? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because as long as you're happy, as long as your goals are met, that's great. But if you want different results than what your friends and family have, you're going to have to take different actions. And like I said, I know that that's difficult to hear, and it's not anybody's fault that you're where you're at. Everybody kind of reverts to the mean, right? Everybody drags things down, and sometimes you outgrow your friends. Sometimes you have to step away from those family members that are trying to drag you down on this stuff. And that's a tough decision to make, and that's not a decision anybody but you can make. But if you want different results, if you're tired of being in this situation, sometimes we just have to take that next step and make that decision that we're going to do this the way that we have to. So if you have questions on this, as always, reach out to me. I know that this one is a difficult one, and if you do have questions, it's more likely that you're not going to want to talk about them in a public forum, right? So if you do have questions, reach out to me. As always, I love and appreciate you guys. I know that your attention is your most valuable resource, and I appreciate you spending some of it with me. If this is helpful, share it with somebody that's going to be helpful with. Like or subscribe. Give me some sort of cue that it's something that you like the content and you want more like this. So I love you. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you on next week's video.